Today we wanted to focus on recipes that we thought, would benefit you guys the most. You guys are open. We unfortunately are closed at the moment, but we've been working really hard with developing new recipes for you guys when we do start back up. We're focusing, our executive chef, our sous chef, and the teaching kitchen are looking to develop a lot more recipes with diverse recipes. So we're currently looking for Latin American influences, Asian influences. So if you guys have any ideas or suggestions, please feel free to send them our way.
Middle
We'll be
Eastern,
more than happy.
Caribbean.
Yep.
We are trying to
Anything.
source all kinds. Also, we don't know what's going to happen in the future. Honestly,
Right.
We get different messages, as I'm sure you do, every day. So today's session in particular, we are really trying to focus on recipes that we think we can easily make into grab and go or home delivered. So there's a lot of challenges. We were not a HDM kitchen.
Mm-hmm.
We have always been a congregate kitchen. So we don't have packing equipment or sealing equipment. So we are trying to figure out if when they let us open, how we are going to do meals that people can just take from us and
Mhm.
reheat at home.
Mhm.
So Chef Evelyn will tell you a little bit about what we've been doing while the kitchen's closed.
Okay. So while the kitchen has been closed, we have been trying to keep our engagement at peak as much as possible. We're having workshops with our senior centers, with our seniors, with the parents of our early childhood centers. We're
And the kids.
And the kids. We did a lot of like holiday baking classes, and our little demonstrations have expanded to our after school program, so on and so forth. We're actually also the Teaching Kitchen online program is in the last stages. We're already piloting. We've already started piloting with some organizations in upstate New York. We're trying to pilot them outside of New York City as well. I'm in the process of hopefully finalizing the translation to have it available as soon as possible. We're thinking about late February, beginning of March. So we're going to have that available for you guys. So, we're just trying to, stay afloat just as much as everyone else. I'm going to quickly just translate what Chef Siemens just said anteriormente. La presentación de hoy la estamos enfocando en comida que es muy fácil de empacar. Nosotros hemos estado cerrados desde que empezó hace como unos 2 o 3 meses después de la pandemia, decidimos cerrar la cocina y hemos estado enfocando en desarrollar diferentes recetas para ofrecer opciones más diversas, culturalmente diversas, so que nuestros cocineros, nuestro chef ejecutivo y nuestra sous chef están actualmente tratando de diversificar muchas de nuestras recetas para que cuando abremos tengamos más opciones para ustedes. La presentación de hoy se va a tratar de comida empacada que se pueden empacar y distribuir. Como les mencioné, nosotros estamos cerrados por el momento, pero cuando lleguemos a abrir, si es que llegamos a abrir pronto, queremos empezar a ofrecer mucha de esta comida que va a ser fácil para recalentar en las casas de quien lo va a recibir. So que las recetas de hoy van a ser muy fáciles. La mayoría de estas ya la han visto, la han aprobado o hasta la están preparando en sus cocinas. Ahorita Chef Sima va a introducir las recetas un poquito y vamos a empezar a cocinar. Do you want to introduce the recipes quickly?
Absolutely. So we're going to make 3 recipes today really quickly. One is one of our most popular recipes. It's the bulgur con pollo. Any of you that have come into our kitchen and been a part of our training, you know how much we care about feeding people more wholesome whole grains because we know how many nutrients they have. So instead of arroz con pollo, we make bulgur con pollo. So Chef Evelyn is going to show you how to make bulgur really easily, whether at home or in your institutional kitchen, and make a bulgur con pollo with that. We are going to make one more chicken recipe, which is a chicken stir fry. Like we said, we are trying to really integrate more culturally specific recipes. So this is a more Asian twist on a chicken recipe.
Mm-hmm.
Very simple, just a few ingredients, low prep, and very quick to finish, and very easy to reheat. Both of these dishes you can reheat in a microwave or in the oven. Seniors don't need to, it's not too complicated for them to follow how to reheat and eat it. And finally, we are making a pasta dish filled with protein and vegetables with no meat at all. It's a rotini with spinach and chickpeas, some cheese, and a lemon sauce. Again, super easy to reheat, very tasty. Everybody likes pasta, but it's whole grain pasta, so a little bit more nutritious. You'll also see that the recipes share a lot of common ingredients. So especially when maybe you have only limited number of people that are coming and getting meals from you, this way you can really lower your waste. You can use the same ingredients across all.
Right. Right.
Do you want to start with the bulgur
Yep.
con pollo?
So I'm going to start with the bulgur con pollo. As Seema said before, we want to focus on a lot of different grains. So like I said, we're currently closed in our kitchen. So I went ahead and did the shopping. And this is what your standard bulgur comes in. It comes in a small 1 pound bag. This is Goya brand, but you can find it absolutely anywhere. The cooking directions are in the back of the bag. We do have a video online on how to cook grains in the oven. If you've been to our training, you also are a bit more familiar with how to cook grains in the oven. Once again, if you guys have any questions, we'll be more than happy to show you how to cook them in the oven. But this essentially cooks exactly the same as rice would. So all I did was in a small pot, I added the bulgur, salt, pepper, some oil. I added some spices that I'm going to be using in the chicken. So some oregano, some paprika, salt, pepper. I cooked it. It took maybe about 20 to 25 minutes.
If you think that bulgur might be too much of a stretch for your clients, we usually always recommend mixing grains because that's a great way to introduce yourself, your kids, your seniors to different grains. So take some rice, brown rice, and mix some bulgur into it. Nobody will even notice, honestly. And that way they get, a completely different set of nutrients than they are used to from brown rice.
Right. So, like I said, our bulgur is now cooked. It didn't take long at all. I'm going to be doing the cooking here on this side. I'm going to just kind of explain the cooking process as we go, but it's very simple. I have some chopped onion. I have some chopped peppers. I have green and yellow, but once again, if you have just one pepper in particular, that's perfectly fine. I have our cooked bulgur, some oregano, some smoked paprika, and some cilantro. That's literally all you need. If you have extra tomatoes and you want to get rid of them, you can add them in as well. If you want it a little bit saucier, add some canned tomatoes, and that will also work well. I have previously browned my chicken. Like I said before, we kind of want to walk this through as fast as possible.
I don't know if you can see our chicken, but it's very lightly brown.
Right.
And then it's going to stew in the rest of the ingredients.
So we're going to add our chicken. We're going to brown it. To this, all I'm going to do is add our onion. And I'm going to add a little bit of garlic. We've mentioned in the past that this recipe in particular, we like to use it a lot because it uses chicken thighs. Chicken thighs are far more less expensive. They dry out a lot less. And for this dish, you actually don't need a lot of chicken. When you're trying to transition to dishes, to more vegetable heavy dishes and try to lean off the meat, dishes like this that kind of cook together, you don't need as much chicken. You already have the chicken flavor. So it's ideal for one of those transitional meals. So it has chicken thigh. I'm going to go ahead and add our peppers to the pot. So I'm going to quickly translate this into Spanish while that is cooking. El primer platillo que estamos preparando es un trigo con pollo. El trigo viene en estas bolsitas. Estoy segura que lo han visto anteriormente. Estas de la marca Goya vienen en una bolsita de 1 libra, si es que lo van a conseguir de la tiendita o de un proveedor local. Literalmente es el grano de trigo ligeramente aplastado y cocido al vapor. Se cocina igual que el arroz. En el internet tenemos un video de cómo cocinar en mayoreo en cantidades grandes en el horno. Si necesitan el link para ese video, nosotros con gusto se lo vamos a mandar. Pero el trigo se cocina igual que el arroz. Es de dos tacitas de agua por 1 de grano. Al trigo que yo cociné, nada más le eché un poquito de sal, pimiento, una gotita de aceite. Y como voy a usar pimentón ahumado y orégano en esta receta, le eché de eso mismo al grano a 20-25 minutos hasta que se evaporara el líquido y ya quedó. Usamos muslo de pollo, muslo sin hueso, porque es mucho más económico. No se reseca tan rápido y no se necesita mucho pollo para este platillo en particular, especialmente porque se van a mezclar con los vegetales y el grano, y es uno de esos platillos que nosotros cocinamos especialmente cuando estamos tratando de cocinar menos pollo, ya que está el pollo en el nombre del platillo, saben que hay pollo, pueden saborearlo, pero la cantidad de pollo no es mucho, eso que es mucho más económico también y mucho más saludable a que si fueran a servir carne de roja o carne de puerco. Estoy salteando el pollo, las cebollas y el pimentón dulce. Ya que esté un poco más dorado, le voy a echar, le voy a mezclar el grano que ya está anteriormente cocido. Le voy a echar las especias. Se va a dejar cocinar hasta que se mezcle. Es nuestra versión de arroz con pollo, pero usando trigo. Y literalmente eso es lo único que lleva. Si es que usted le quiere echar sofrito, tiene sofrito ya preparado, adelante le puede echar el sofrito. Si tiene vegetales restantes, también le puede echar cualquier otro vegetal restante. Si quiere usar mitad trigo, mitad arroz, para que se vayan acostumbrando al grano nuevo, también se puede hacer. El punto de esto es tratar de incorporar un grano nuevo, más vegetales y menos carne. So que eso se va a seguir cocinando. I'm going to go ahead and add our smoked paprika, our oregano, and our bulgur to the vegetables that are sauteing behind me. And now Chef Seema is going to go with hers.
I only understood parts of what Evelyn said. I'm learning slowly. But one of the things about the bulgur con pollo that I think she was saying, for those that, have limited Spanish like I do, but I think what she's saying is we really use any spices we have on hand. So if you like cumin, add cumin, add, some oregano, whatever spices you have. Sofrito, even better. You'll also get a slightly less dry, but not drippy, so it will still travel well. So, anything you would put in an arroz con pollo can go in the bulgur con pollo. I am starting my chicken stir fry on the other side. So just to explain, we use both chicken thigh and chicken breast here at Lenox Hill. So Evelyn is using chicken thighs for her bulgur con pollo because chicken thighs are so juicy, they're cheaper, they cook really well, and they reheat really well. I'm using chicken thighs because I know a lot of people are conscious about only eating white meat chicken. So I wanted to also show you an example of how we use white meat chicken. So all I've been doing right now is taking a pan and browning my chicken breasts. Once my chicken breasts are fully brown, I have a whole bunch of vegetables that I'll be adding to the stir fry. So once again, I have bell peppers here. You can use green bell peppers, which are often cheaper. We were just lucky to have yellow bell peppers here. I have some sliced carrots. I have strips of onion, white onion here. I have some garlic, and I have broccoli florets. So just to explain, one of the big missions here at our kitchen is to wean people off of thinking that they need to eat a lot of meat, because living in America, we all think that's how our meals are supposed to be, a big chunk of meat and a little bit of vegetables. And we kind of want to invert that idea. So we want people to think of their plate as being 60% or more fresh vegetables and whole grains, and maybe 30 to 40% meat at the most, right? So this stir fry, it's going to be packed with vegetables. So all of these vegetables with a little bit of chicken is what we are going for. While my chicken is browning, one of the things we wanted to show you was a little trick. I think a lot of you probably know this trick, but our kitchen is famous for losing peelers. We can never find any. So we don't buy any because we can't afford to keep buying them. So I'm going to show you how to peel ginger without a peeler. So just using a little spoon, this little cornstarch spoon. So if you have a piece of ginger, the easiest way to peel ginger is actually just using a spoon. So if you just scrape away at it with a spoon, you don't lose any of the flesh, so you don't get any waste. Whereas with a peeler, you'll often lose some of the meat as well, and you can get it done really fast, and you probably won't get your fingers cut either, which also can be a problem if you're not super used to using a peeler. So I'm just going to peel this ginger very quickly. It's actually a really nice fresh piece of ginger, and then I'm going to chop it, and I'm going to add the ginger and the garlic first, and once those are brown along with the chicken, I'll be adding the rest of the vegetables. Can you translate?
Sure.
Thank you.
So, la chef Sima de este lado va a preparar un salteado de pollo, un stir fry. Nuevamente, esta receta lleva pollo. La única diferencia es que la receta de chef Sima va a usar la pechuga de pollo. Si quieren usar el muslo de pollo, igual se puede usar, pero también estamos conscientes de que muchas personas prefieren la carne blanca y si es que van a poder ahorrar un poco de dinero en otras recetas, comprando muslo de pollo, también se ahorra dinero y se pueden dar el lujo de servir pechuga de pollo de vez en cuando. El platillo de salteado o del stir fry, eh, lo que resalta es de que se usa mucho vegetal. También conocemos de muchos lugares que usan una mezcla de vegetales congelados y vegetales frescos. So que, por ejemplo, si quieren usar el pimiento fresco, la cebolla fresca, la zanahoria y el ajo fresco, pero tienen brócoli congelado, adelante lo pueden usar, o cualquier otra mezcla que tengan, ya sea fresca o congelada, úsenlo. El propósito es tratar de minimizar el uso de carne nuevamente y aumentar la cantidad de vegetales, ya sea congelada o fresca. También la salsa es súper simple, es salsa de soya baja en sodio. Si la quieren endulzar un poquito y si le quieren agregar un poquito de miel, o hasta algunas ocasiones a veces le echan un poquito de azúcar morena o azúcar blanca, muy poquita también se puede. Si es para los niños, por lo regular ellos prefieren la comida un poquito más dulce, o que si le quieren agregar un poquito de miel, adelante. Se va a poner un poco más espesa la salsa porque le vamos a echar lo que viene siendo maicena fécula de maíz o maicena sin sabor. A un poquito se le va a mezclar a la salsa de soya y al hervir eso lo que va a hacer que se ponga más espesa. El truco de jengibre, no sé si lo llegaron a ver, pero nosotros usamos muchas hierbas y ingredientes frescos. Por ejemplo, el jengibre de hoy es fresco y se puede pelar de varias maneras, ya sea con un pelapapas, pero lo más práctico, y no sé si a veces en nuestra cocina se pierden los pelapapas muy rápido, nada más se necesita una cucharadita chiquita y lo único que vas a hacer es vas a raspar el jengibre fresco y ya después de pelarlo, simplemente se cortan pedacitos súper chiquitos y ya. Si quieren jengibre en polvo o congelado, también se puede. Si es que quieren comprar un poquito de jengibre fresco y no lo usan todo, simplemente lo pelan, lo cortan en pedacitos chiquitos y se puede mantener en el congelador por mucho tiempo. If you guys decide you want to use fresh ginger, I mean, you bought too much, you can feel free to buy whatever it is that you need, or buy it a little bit more in bulk. You can peel it, chop it up, and keep it in the freezer and just pull it out, as you need it. But that's also a great trick, the little spoon trick.
We also puree it in the food processor because we serve a lot of meals. So we serve 1,500 meals when we are open, which fingers crossed. So what we do is we just end up basically pureeing all the ginger in the food processor and just freezing it and taking out small amounts at a time.
Right.
So just to tell you the updates on the two dishes we have talked about so far, I'm going to lift Chef Garcia's burger corn for you and try to show you what it looks like. It's pretty much
I'll
ready.
just bring it closer.
Yeah, we'll plate it.
I'll put them in a pot and I'll show you guys.
So that's pretty much ready. So as you can see, we also, like, our cooks, also there's 6 cooks cooking 1,500 meals a day. So most of our recipes are 3-step recipes when we can do it that way. So as you can tell, everything is one pot because we also have to be optimizing, the number of dishes we create for them. So Chef Evelyn's recipe was basically one pot, 3 steps, done and done. The stir fry is going to be the same. I'm going to add vegetables to the stir fry now. So I'm adding onions, bell peppers, I'm going to stir those. Then I'll add the broccoli and the carrots. And final step, I'll be making a little sauce with some soy sauce. This is a 1/4 cup of soy sauce. I'm going to add a small teaspoon of cornstarch. Now, if you don't like the idea, I know a lot of people are conscious about using cornstarch. If you don't want to use it, you do not need to. You can completely avoid it. You could just use soy sauce on its own. We are using cornstarch with the idea of making it a little thicker, primarily, like I said, because we do not have any sealing mechanisms here for our home delivery. So we really want it to be nice and tight, the sauce to cling to the vegetables, so that there's no leaks and no damage as it travels. But you do not need it.
So we would like to hear if any of you guys on the other side have cooked any of these dishes, the bulgur con pollo or any different form of it, a chicken stir fry or any type of stir fry. And if you have converted to any of our pasta dishes, whether it's the chickpea pasta or the carbonara recipe, we would love to hear if you guys have been able to transition to any of this stuff since you came to the training.
Just to tell you, this is low sodium soy sauce that I'm using, and I haven't put any salt in the dish itself because this should be enough. We'll taste it. I'm going to start the pasta dish really quickly, and then Chef Evelyn is going to talk to you a little bit about, you know, other substitutions and such that we are able to do. So I have the onions and the peppers along with the chicken right now, and I'm starting our third dish, which is the pasta. I'm just heating a little bit of this oil we use is a olive and canola, right? Next, it's a blend. And I'm going to just heat some finely chopped onion and some garlic for the pasta. Again, the pasta is also a one pot, very quick dish. The nice thing about this pasta is that all the protein, so I know the DIFTA and CACFD need us to meet the protein guidelines, and a lot of times the questions we get are, we need meat in order to meet the protein requirements, but that's not actually true. Cheese and beans are huge sources of protein and wonderful ways to get plant-based protein. So we're going to use both of those in our pasta dish in a second, as soon as these onions and garlic blend a bit. And then, do you want to translate?
Sure. So before I move on to the recipe that Chef Seema is discussing now, if she mentioned that this is a low sodium soy sauce, if you find that your clients would like a slightly sweeter version and you want to add a little bit of honey or even a smallest pinch of sugar just to make it a little bit sweeter, by all means, go ahead. I would recommend the honey, obviously, and you don't need too much, just to kind of give it more of a little sweet taste if you want, like a little homemade teriyaki sauce. And like Chef Seema said before, the only purpose of the cornstarch is just to thicken the sauce. That's pretty much it. So if you have it, great. If not, that's perfectly fine. But once again, for the purpose of home delivered meals, we want to make sure that we avoid as many leaks as possible. So that's on that. Para la receta de pasta que está preparando Chef Seema, nuevamente es muy fácil. Lo único que vamos a hacer, tenemos aquí pasta de trigo, whole wheat pasta. Puede ser rotini, puede ser espagueti, penne, lo que usted quiera. El chiste es que sea de trigo entero. Le vamos a agregar espinaca congelada. Para nosotros preparamos alrededor de 1,500 comidas al día. Y para poder tener la cantidad de espinaca fresca para hacer por ejemplo, este tipo de platillos, necesitaríamos el equivalente a unas 50 cajas de espinaca fresca. So que la mayoría de vegetales son frescos, pero hay muchos que prácticamente, o sea, sería no imposible, pero más difícil almacenar en nuestro espacio de refrigeración, por lo cual usamos versiones congeladas que igual son igual de saludables y un poquito más prácticas y a la vez hasta al mismo precio que la versión fresca. So que un poquito de espinaca descongelada, cortada en pedazos. Y este platillo no contiene nada de carne, es una versión de vegetariana y las recetas que nosotros servimos y que se ofrecen en nuestro libro de cocina y todo eso ya han sido aprobadas por el CACFP y DIFTA, so que ya tenemos, ellos nos han asegurado que las recetas que están en ese recetario han sido aprobadas. La proteína de este plato viene siendo el garbanzo. Es una fuente grande de proteína, de fibra y también va a ayudar a rellenar a los clientes y es muy económico. Si se dan cuenta, la pasta es económica, el garbanzo es económico, la espinaca congelada también es muy económica y la salsa va a ser simplemente jugo de limón y queso y eso es todo lo que necesitan. Si tienen tomate fresco, les gustaría agregar un poquito de cualquier tocino, si lo quieren echar un poquito de carne, quieren usar un poquito de tocino de pavo, o qué sé yo, pero en cantidades de carne mucho más pequeña, adelante y ya poco a poco pueden ir limitando la cantidad de carne hasta que eventualmente se convierta vegetariana. En el sartén, Chef Seema se está salteando la cebolla, el ajo y la espinaca Nada más a que se cocine un poco la cebolla y el ajo para que se le vaya el sabor fuerte. Le va a agregar el garbanzo. El garbanzo es enlatado. Lo único que hicimos es tratamos de conseguir la versión baja en sodio. Le sacamos el líquido y lo enjuagamos rápidamente para quitarle el exceso de sodio que haya tenido en el líquido en el que estaba empacado.
Can you also say in English to drain?
Absolutely. Yeah. So in the pan, Chef Seema has sauteing red onion and garlic. She sauteed that for about 2 to 3 minutes. She added spinach. The spinach that we're using in this dish is frozen spinach. You guys that have been with us here before, you know that we're lucky enough to have a fairly decent, fairly beautiful big size kitchen. But for the 1,500 meals that we serve, we would need over 25 boxes, if not more, of fresh spinach to be able to, use fresh spinach for this dish or any other dish in particular. So we do use a frozen version of the spinach in dishes such as the pasta. So we went ahead, we added the frozen spinach to the vegetables. We're simply going to saute it quickly, and then
we'll add the pasta.
We'll add the pasta, the juice, and the cheese, and that's literally it.
And the stir fry is coming along. It's pretty much ready. I'm just going to add the mix of soy and cornstarch. We want the vegetables to remain pretty crunchy. We also know that people will reheat it, so we don't want the vegetables to get soggy. And
we want them to keep as vibrant as possible as well.
We want them to look beautiful too, because we, want it to look colorful. We will plate everything and show you what everything.
So if you were to add some type of sweetener to your sauce, this is when you would add it, whether it's the honey or a little bit of sugar. This is when you would add it and just simply add it to the pot. And you will notice that as the sauce comes to a boil for about a minute or so, it's going to coat the vegetables a lot more.
It's not going to be like a running sauce at all. It's going to be very. It just gives it its smell. You can't smell it, but I promise it smells really good. Once again with the pasta, and Chef Evelyn will translate, all our clients love pasta. Our goal with the pastas again is really to pack them, not just make them huge carb vehicles, but to pack them with protein and vegetables where possible. So I know we only added spinach, but feel free to add any vegetables you have lying around. You can do cauliflower, which we do sometimes. Peas, green peas are a great option as well, and they are frozen. They require no prep. We often add them to our carbonara, but you can add them to the rotini as well. There's nothing to stop you.
Porque si se dan cuenta, todas las recetas que tenemos para el día de hoy se pueden preparar en una sola olla, especialmente si ustedes son centros a donde cocinan comida para los niños. No. Por lo regular, ustedes cocinan una porción mucho más pequeña que si fuera un centro de personas para la tercera edad. Cocinarán aproximadamente para unas 30, 40, 50 niños. Lo único que se requiere es un poquito de organización antes de tiempo, asegurarse que los ingredientes que tengan ya están un poco preparados. Ya teniendo los preparados, el grano preparado, los vegetales ya cortados, literalmente tomarán unos 20, 25 minutos para que todo se termine de cocinar, y literalmente se usó nada más una sola olla, que es especialmente ahorita que muchos de los centros han cerrado y han limitado el contenido de ayudantes en la cocina. Entre menos trabajo le queda a la persona que actualmente esté cocinando, mejor. So as Chef Seema said before, a lot of these dishes are a one-pot meal. We have heard that a lot of our centers that we have trained, unfortunately, have had to minimize the number of staff in the kitchen. So if you're in the kitchen by yourself, you know that you're going to be cooking, you're going to be cleaning, you're going to be packing, you're going to be doing a lot more than you probably were in the past with the same amount of time. So you want to make sure that the dishes that you are able to prepare are still delicious, are still healthy, but it's still very much practical, especially now that you are under the same time restraints, and now that you're, with less staff. So, that's also something to keep in the back of your in your mind when you're trying to think of recipes to cook, especially now during COVID. The vegetables, los vegetales que había cocinado Chef Sima en el salteado de pollo, en el stir fry, no los cocinamos totalmente, todavía quedan un poquito crujientes. ¿Por qué? Porque todavía se va a empacar la comida en el cartoncito y todavía tiene que viajar. Llegando a la casa de las personas, lo más probable es que lo van a querer calentar nuevamente. So que si los cocinamos al 100, a la hora que la persona lo reciba, lo más seguro es que ya va a estar muy suave y hasta se puede llegar a batir y los colores ya no van a ser tan vibrantes. So que queremos asegurarnos que quedan un poquito tiernos, pero no cocidos totalmente porque todavía tienen un transcurso hasta llegar al destino final.
Because you can never have too much.
All right. So as you guys can see, we did, obviously these are smaller portions than what you would prepare. But for Miss Candy, for example, you're an early childhood center. I don't know how many children you're cooking for, but I would like to believe that maybe you're cooking for a slightly smaller number of children than you probably were when you were before COVID. So if you're in the kitchen by yourself, you're shorter staffed. So these dishes from beginning to end, maybe about 20 to 25 minutes if you already have your grain pre-cooked from the day before, or even if you cook something the day before earlier during the week and you have extra grain, feel free to reuse this, your extra grain, extra leftover vegetables to make any of these three dishes, either for the bulgur con pollo, if you want to use bulgur rice blend, for pasta, for the stir fry. The point is just to make a healthier version with less meat or no meat, if possible. And, you know, keep in mind that these meals are going to be packaged and reheated. So you want to take that in consideration when you're cooking your pasta, when you're cooking your vegetables. They do have a time, they have to travel for a while from beginning to end. So, you know, keep that in mind.
The other nice thing about both bulgur and barley to me is that they reheat better than rice does when you refrigerate it. So rice has a tendency to get extremely dry in the fridge. So even when you try to reheat it, it doesn't quite fluff up like it does when you're eating it fresh. Whereas bulgur will do really well. If you just sprinkle a little bit of water and stick it in the microwave, it's going to come back to life much better than rice does.
We also wanted to mention, and this is a little tip that I remember Mr. James Powers from James Board, who was here for one of our workshops. If you want to use or you want to save some of that extra pasta water that you use to cook the rotini, keep some off to the side and then add it to the end. And it'll create more of a natural sauce. So it already has the starch from the pasta, the saltiness from the pasta, and it'll give you more of a sauce coating on the final dish if you want to add a little bit more sauce.
On the same lines, I also want to say, I know some of the places that we talked to. So one is, you don't need to just use chickpeas. You can use any beans you want. I mean, most people use white beans, which is probably like more common for Italian pasta. But if you want to use cannellini, white northern beans, you can use anything. We don't use them and we use chickpeas because we've had trouble finding low sodium versions of white beans. But if you're cooking your beans from scratch, just like the pasta water, the broth from cooking the beans is also a great way to create a really creamy sauce for your pasta that goes with everything else. So save the beans water, save the pasta water, and you don't need to use any fresh cream, any dairy. You can make it completely vegan and healthier for your clients. It's full of protein and...
Para el platillo de pasta que vemos que Chef Sima preparó, si quieren un poquito con un poquito más de salsa, lo único que tienen que hacer es reservar un poco de la agua en la que hirvieron la pasta y ya hasta el final, cuando ya están en el último paso de nada más agregarle el queso, le echan un poquito de la pasta de agua y eso va a crear un poco más de salsa. Si es que creen que la versión que se les presentó el día de hoy va a quedar muy seca, adelante pueden reservar la agua. Para la pasta no necesariamente tienen que usar el garbanzo o el chickpea, pueden usar cualquier habichuela, si quieren habichuela blanca se puede usar. Nada más tomen en cuenta que la mayoría de tiempo para la habichuela blanca no hay versión baja en sodio. Pueden cocinar su propia habichuela, pero pues sean conscientes de que va a necesitar un poquito más de preparación de su parte. Lo único importante es de que si van a usar un habichuela o garbanzo que esté enlatado, que sea bajo en sodio y que lo enjuaguen antes de agregárselo a la comida. So I think that's pretty much it. I think we've covered it. I'm going to bring the dishes a little bit closer to you guys so that you guys can see it. So I'm going to bring this over here. I'm going to go around.
Yeah, we can hold it up.
And can you tell me if you can see the dish? I'm going to
Yes, I'll look here. Can you lift it up?
Yeah. All right, guys. So you guys, I don't know if you guys.
No, you have to unmute. You have to mute them.
Okay.
They can hear you from here.
So I don't know if you guys can see this. I don't want to make a mess. I don't know where I'm going. You guys really can't see it. Can you guys see it? No. It's too blurry.
We can see it. It's fine. Yeah.
Okay. Well, it's kind of far, but this is the rotini pasta with the chickpeas and the spinach. We'll take a picture of all of this, guys.
Zoom it in.
This is the chicken stir fry. Yeah.
Yeah, they can see it. I mean, we can be.
We'll send you guys pictures.
Yeah.
We apologize ahead of time, but and then lastly the bulgur con pollo. So if you guys have been to our training, probably you probably tasted this dish. We want to remind you guys that all of these recipes are online on our website. On our website, I'll bring these over to the other side. On our website, you will find a copy of our cookbook. So for example, Miss Candy, we have an ECC version with scales from 4 to 6. I believe you guys, the majority of you guys already have a hard copy of this. If you've been to our training, especially towards the end, you were given a copy. So we have our ECC cookbook scaled for 4 to 6 portions. It has about 20 to 25 recipes. It's available in English and in Spanish.
And this one is the Spanish version, but we have a bigger institutional version that's scaled to 50 portions because it's very easy to scale up. And so you can use this if you're a larger program like ours or a senior center. I think we are going to stop talking. You've heard enough about us. So anyone that has, please tell us what you've been up to. A special request. We would like to do this more often now that we are back in action. And we want to know what would be helpful to you, what kind of workshops you would like to see. So please open up and tell us what you think might help.
Right. So if you guys want to either unmute yourself or send it into the chat and
Kathleen will share with us.
Kathleen will share with us. So, you know, whomever wants to jump in and let us know if you've been able to cook any of these dishes during COVID. Are you currently cooking? What you guys want to hear or what kind of workshops you guys are looking for us to continue making. We would love to continue offering these workshops. We just want to make sure that they're useful to you guys. So please, we'll open up. We'll leave it open for the next 10, 15 minutes. We would love to hear from all of you guys and see what you've been up to.
Yeah, and if you want to chat with anyone in the group, it's a great time to do that as well. Like y'all are meeting after a long time, so say hello.
Okay, this is Stephanie Edwards from Bedford-Stuyvesant. Can you hear me?
Hi.
Hi, nice to see everyone is safe. I wanted to know, is it possible that you could get another camera the next time you're doing it so that you could focus in what's going on the stove? So we can see both?
Absolutely.
Yeah, we are working on it.
I really appreciate that. But I really thank you for this presentation. Some new ideas to work with bulgur. Thank you so much.
We will definitely get an additional camera for the stovetop next time.
Hello.
Hi.
Hi. I got a question. Those cookbooks. How can I obtain one of them?
Okay. You want like I said before, we do have all 4 versions on our website. You can just look at the recipe, print it out. Chances are that if you haven't been able to come to one of our workshops, you don't have a hard copy. We can try to get a hard copy to you. It may be a little bit difficult because we have we're currently printing some out, so we don't know when they will become available. But what we can do is we can
send you a link,
send you all a link of where you can find the cookbooks. And like I said before, if you need something in particular and you don't see it on the cookbook, feel free to email Chef Seema and myself, and we'll be more than happy to get it to you. And we'll try to put up a wait list, if you will. So when we do have hard copies, we can get it to you.
Okay, cool. Thank you.
Thank
Appreciate
you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Perfect.
So if you look at the chat, you'll see a link to where all the where the cookbooks are located. So please feel free to click on the link, but we'll also send it an email. Hi, Miss Candy.
Hi, how are y'all? One question, no, two questions. First of all, I would like to know what can we do about tofu, because now my nutritionist has tofu on the list. And my second question is, how is Lynn?
What's the second question? Could you repeat that?
How is Lynn doing?
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'll start with the second question for you first. Miss Lynn is doing fantastic. Miss Lynn has officially retired from us. Okay. However, Evelyn and I, during COVID, got tested and everything and went to visit her at her farm in the Catskills. So we are still she knows everything that's going on here. I assure you. And she's still very connected to the teaching kitchen, but she's a full-time farmer now. So she works twice as hard. And she misses all of you. And I'm sure she'll be back in the kitchen once it's safe for her to be able to come into the city again.
Yep. So that's the Lynn question. And then in regards to the tofu, if you go onto our website, and if you have a hard copy, I believe, Miss Candy, I believe you were given a hard copy of the spiral bound. We have, I want to say 1 or 2 recipes.
Tofu with broccoli.
Tofu with broccoli, and there's something else. I can't remember what it is. That's a tofu based dish. Keep in mind that any of the dishes, whether it's the stir fry, maybe even the pasta, you can go ahead and add that. We have a couple of dishes for like a chickpea curry stew. If you want to add little pieces of tofu in that, that's also very much doable. You could pretty much, the tofu, I don't know what kind of tofu you are working with, but if it's more on the firmer side, I would suggest you
small.
Yep. So if you have the actual block, put it in one of those perforated hotel pans, put a hotel pan over it, and maybe 2 number 10 cans on top, just to make sure you're able to strain as much liquid as possible. And once you have it, you can leave it overnight even. The next day you cut it up into cubes, toss it in a little bit of oil, and put it in the oven, bake it for 350 degrees for maybe 20 minutes or so. And that'll create more like a little crust over it. Then you can add it to any of these dishes or a chickpea curry stew.
You could replace the entire chicken in the stir fry that we just showed with that tofu. And it's worked pretty well for us.
Right.
I mean, we've had challenges with selling tofu to our seniors, but that one works.
Right. That one seems to work a lot. If you don't want to commit to the roasting the tofu beforehand, you don't have to, but one, it gets rid of that spongy, wet flavor. You get to season it however you want. If you want to add a little bit of spices like paprika, cumin, I don't know, salt, pepper, just kind of spice it up a little bit more, you're able to give it a lot more flavor. And before you add it to any of the dishes, you will keep it from crumbling into the actual dish itself. I don't know if you guys serve breakfast, but I know in the past I've made tofu scramble, and it's literally the same thing.
Yeah.
It tastes very similar to egg. If you want to make it a little bit yellow like the egg, and if you have a turmeric powder, all you have to do is kind of crumble the tofu beforehand and saute it in some olive, some oil, some garlic, some salt and pepper, a little bit of spices. You want to add some pepper, some onions, and you make a tofu scramble. You can also serve it that way.
And they won't even know what
throw it in a wrap. They won't even know. They won't even know.
No.
Yep. So you can do that. If you want to add little pieces of the tofu scramble into a frittata, you can also do that. I mean, just to kind of bulk up the protein. But we'll be happy to any suggestions or anything that I find online. I'll make sure to send it your way. And like we said before, we're trying currently to develop a lot more recipes, Asian recipes.